Hey guys, I'm Courtney Thompson with GMS. Very excited to dive into some setting with you. I feel like this skill in particular, there's a lot of insecurity around coaching setting, if in fact you were not a setter yourself. So we want to debunk any myths that are out there. You don't have to be a great setter to be really good at coaching, setting, and empowering your athletes to go do this skill at a high level. So when we're thinking about setting, we want to talk about kind of the approach that we have and some principles before we get into the mechanics. So when we're helping our setters think about what we want them to do, we want to think about letting the hitter do the work. So we're not trying to be perfect. We don't need to be exact on everything. We just want to be good over time. Can I put up hittable balls to let my hitters have some chance to go do something with it consistently, again, over time? And the best way that we can achieve that is if we try to be the same when we're setting a quick attack, the same when we're setting a go, and the same when we're setting something behind. And so to be deceptive, often we think we have to do all these crazy things to get a one-on-one or put our hitter in a successful position. But really, the best way that we can do that is to be the same as the same as the same. And what I mean by that is, can I look the same if I'm setting a quick? Can I approach the same if I'm setting a go? And can I look the same if I'm setting something behind? And so we want to put energy into coaching kind of this consistent approach. And like every other skill that we talk about, we want to try to be simple rather than complex. The more consistent we can be at this skill and our mechanics, the more consistent our sets will be. The last principle that we want to help empower our athletes with is to set with conviction. And for those of you that have set, there's nothing worse than like really trying to be perfect and dial in this ball at the right inch and this specific location. We want our setters to be relaxed. We want to play free. We want to be aggressive. And if we miss, which we will, we're going to fix it. But there's nothing worse than trying to set when we're really tight. So we want to teach our setters, hey, we're going to go for it. We're going to finish aggressively, and we're going to fix it if we need to.
Precisas de carro, mas comprar não está nos teus planos? Na Extra Cars alugas ao mês. Sem stress, sem surpresas. Basta escolheres o carro e subscreveres. Tudo online.
So when we're thinking about designing practice, both activities and where we give feedback, we want to understand where the setter impacts the game the most. And the game is won and lost at the pins. And so the most important thing we can help our setters be proficient at is locating the ball on a good pass, and maybe more importantly, depending on your level, a not so good pass. So in volleyball, there's all of these opportunities where there are medium passes. So can our setters put up hittable balls and just be good over time setting balls to the pin? Again, this is where the game is won and lost. So if our setter can do this at a high level, that's how they're going to impact our ability to win matches more often. The second way that our setters will impact the match the most is by setting a quick hitter. Whether you're running a third step tempo, a 1.5, maybe something in the back row, our setter's ability on a good pass and a medium pass to get something going in the middle of the court, right? So essentially, these first two things, can our setters run a good offense? Can they put up hittable balls over time and give our offense a chance to put pressure on the other team? The third way that our setters will impact the match is by these other skills of serving, digging, and blocking. And so there's a common narrative that, hey, if my setter's short and she can't put up a good block, or she's not really great at digging in the back row, or her serve's a little wonky, that she can't be our starting setter. And what we want you to understand from this is that if your setter can put up hittable balls over time, this is the skill that's going to help your team win more matches than anything else. And then can we start getting good at serving, digging, and blocking. The fourth way that our setter can impact the match, again, is by doing all of these things in transition. And so as you guys know, over half of the time in women's volleyball is spent playing out of transition. And so can we help them in serve receive be great at locating the ball, again, on good passes, on not so good passes, all of these medium balls. And then can we get them reps in transition putting up hittable balls? So when we're thinking about teaching the mechanics of setting, when you watch setters at a high level, both men and women internationally, high-level college athletes, There's some variance and there's some nuance, but there are things that are very consistent in all of these high-level setters. So this is really where our keys are coming from. And throughout all of the keys we'll talk about today, there's these themes of posture and vision. And so every great setter is in an athletic posture where they're ready to run, they're ready to make whatever movement is necessary, again, to move to the ball in a calm fashion. And if we're not in an athletic posture, it looks a lot like this, and we're catching up to the play rather than responding and kind of being on time. And the other thing that impacts that is our vision. And maybe we're not teaching our setters to be completely dialed into this one arm angle and where the ball is hitting that platform, but there's an intent to first watch the server, and can I see where the serve's going, one, so I know who's gonna pass. Maybe if it hits the net, depending on my position, I'm gonna be ready to respond to that. And as it's coming, I'm gonna turn and be in a position where I am ready to move calmly to the ball. And every great setter feels like they're just present in the moment rather than being frantic and being quick in a way that compromises our ability to put up a hittable ball. So we wanna anchor to, can I be in this athletic position, ready to run, ready to move in any direction, because we know passes are gonna go all over. And then can I also have an intention around what am I looking at to make these moves that are necessary next? So when we're watching the best setters in the world, again, there's these consistent factors that we want to put energy into, one of which is we want our hands up early, and we want to be in the shape of a ball. And so again, there's some variance of where setters start, how high they take the ball, but what is very common is that as a setter is approaching the ball, this is very simple. And they're going to get their hands to this position before the ball reaches their hands. And so what I like to say when I'm coaching young athletes is that if I'm here and I have a little hitch in my approach to this position, which we see a lot, we see this, we see this, we see kind of this thing, that there's usually a direct correlation to the setter's finish, which again is maybe the thing that impacts the set the most. And so we want to get really simple that if I'm running and before the ball gets to this position, I want to have my hands up early. And just like there's a window right here, I'm just going straight up that window in a very simple fashion. And you'll notice when we get out on the court a little later that this shape isn't moving in my approach. We're not going here, we're not flipping anything, we're not clapping, we're just simply getting here to here. The more consistent we can make this approach and where we take the ball, again, the more consistent our sets will be.
Tudo apostos para a febre do futebol? Seja qual for a sua seleção, puxe por ela no melhor lugar. Compre o seu sofá na Belliani e desfrute ao máximo.
The other quality that we see from every high-level setter is that they extend with their palms to target. And when I go in gyms across the country, if there's one skill that makes the biggest impact right away from setters they don't feel confident, that may be doubling a lot of balls, that their set's a little wonky, is to over-exaggerate this extension with palms to target. Again, this is where setting with conviction comes in. And so if we have this nice, simple ball-shaped hands, we get here early, then as I'm setting, whether I'm setting a quick hitter, I'm setting a go, or I'm setting something behind, we want to have a very consistent extension with palms to target. Passers pass all over, and the game is not perfect. And so even if we don't get to take the ball in the position that we want to as setters, we can be running, we can be taking it here, and if I have this really epic finish, it gives me a chance to put up a hittable ball in all of these different situations. Maybe, hopefully, we're not digging too tight, but if and when the ball is high and tight, I can take it here and finish with this palms to target, and again, put up a hittable ball. You know, setting is a hard skill to learn. It's very mechanical, and sometimes the touch takes a while to get comfortable with. And the great thing about this key in particular is that the ball goes where we finish all of the time. It's the only thing giving direction to the ball. And so if we can help an athlete have this feedback loop of, hey, the ball is going over the net because I finished over the net. Okay, let me fix that. So there's this really immediate feedback if our athletes are really connected to, hey, what was my finish like? And when you're coaching young athletes, you will notice a lot of their finishes will be here, or they'll be here, or they'll be here. And if we can get them to connect to it long enough, then they can fix it. And then all of a sudden, they're feeling like, oh my gosh, I can put the ball where I want it to go. And whether, again, I'm setting something close to me with a little bit less force, I want to have this big open finish. And if I'm setting a long ball and I'm trying to get it way out there, I want to have this exact same finish. And so regardless of where we're setting, we want this to be very consistent. We don't often talk about this with our athletes unless it becomes a problem, but I want to share this with coaches just so we have an understanding. If I have my hands up early and they're in the shape of a ball and I bring them up here, you'll notice that my thumbs are relatively facing my face. And when I extend my palms to target and I'm telling the ball where to go, my thumbs have somewhere to go. What we see a lot at coaching clinics and also with young setters is that they start in this position, and then when I'm setting, there's nowhere to go but here to get the ball to go forward. And so what that does is, for the ball to be located well, it would have to be the exact right force from both hands to get it to go that direction. And so again, we want to help our athletes understand that if I'm in this position, when I finish, I can finish right to the target without compromising it in this way. So just so we understand why this principle matters. The third key that we see from setters at a high level is that they are facing where the ball is coming from. So facing the passer, and then as I'm setting, I'm going to extend to the target. And what you might see from a lot of different setters, both men and women, high-level college, is that their footwork patterns may change. But what is consistent is that they are rotating around kind of as if there was a pull between their right foot all the way up through their right shoulder, that they're rotating around this pull, right? So even if I go right, left, right, and I make that set, or I might go right, left, I'm going to orient around this pole. And what that does, it allows us to be dynamic. It allows us to locate from a lot of different places. It allows us to keep speed on the ball from far distances. And so we want to help our athletes get this feeling, and the most efficient way we can do that is to start with a footwork pattern that is right, left, right. And to me, this is the foundation of a setter, to go right, left, right, and as I'm extending, I'm going to square. And once I get that feeling, maybe I'm going to introduce a pivot where I'm going off of one foot, so same footwork pattern, right, left, right, but now I'm going off of one. And then we might introduce, depending on the setter's physicality, what's more natural to them, you might see some right, left, you might see off the left, but regardless of the footwork, what is consistent, again, is that I'm facing the ball and I'm kind of orienting around this right side of my body. The other value of this key is that if we are open to the pass and extending again to that target, it allows us to take it in a much more consistent place. If you imagine the pass coming from this direction and me squaring up early, it's really hard as a setter to feel dynamic and to gauge where to take this to be in a consistent spot. So what we'll see is we're taking it here, and making this move much more complicated than it needs to be. And so as much as we can, get our athletes to face the ball, get in this position where the plays and the passes and everything is in front of them so that we can go give direction to the ball at a high level. Hey guys, I'm Courtney Thompson with GMS.